Hi, thanks for watching out there. Andy here with the astrology for the weekend as we go right through to Monday the 30th when the full moon comes in. So let's have a look at where we're going. At the moment the moon is in Libra. The moon entered Libra UK time 12 minutes past 2 a.m. this morning, so that's kind of evening Pacific, a little later into the night Eastern time, but basically we now have the moon in Libra. It's a good time of people coming together. It's not always the deepest friendships that come together, but kind of acquaintances, people who help life to tick no matter how close we get or not close. Mutual understanding comes up, partnerships come into focus. It doesn't necessarily mean it's good or bad for partnerships, but it's got to be healthy to think about them and to look at them. So partnerships do come into focus. It's actually not supposed to be a bad time for business under a Libra moon, but you know, I'm terrified of giving business advice. It's not my fault if you lose your shirt. Do be careful because the influences around business in this world at the moment, I don't think, are all that close to nature or anything like that. Who knows? It's just, you know, do political leaders really tune into spiritual topics and think about these things? I think not, otherwise I don't think they'd be allowed to be political leaders for very long. Anyway, decision making can be tricky under a Libra moon, so basically don't sweat it. It's a brief transit. We're into Scorpio by Sunday, and it's just nothing too much to be concerned about because it is actually a lovely balancing kind of influence. A flower day in the biodynamic cycle. It's all very kind of delicate and gentle. So don't forget to open and close the 1,000-petal lotus flower very carefully if you're doing any spiritual work or anything like that. So that's the influence today. That's pretty much where we're going at the moment. Let me see, do I have the actual moon phase as I speak? That's always a good 91.7% waxing gibbous. So full moon, as I was saying, 1:58 a.m. just before 2 a.m. on Monday morning here in UK. At night in towards the west, and in the afternoon, the following afternoon towards the east. I'm getting there. There we go. The first quarter actually came in on the 22nd of April, so it hasn't been long. We get about a week as we go through that quarter. As I actually speak to you right now, the sun is trine Saturn. Practical judgments become important, and it's a really good time for making judgments over things where it's been, you know, difficult to work out what the practicalities mean, where it's headed. The inspiration is a bit more in there at the moment. A time of stable transitions and delays that come up today are likely to be beneficial in terms of our relationship to authority, leadership, and maybe at work as well. In terms of work, patience and organisation is really important when the sun is trine Saturn. But we must remember, of course, that Saturn is retrograde at the moment, which is the next thing I'm coming to. Saturn is a very distant planet, the ruling planet of Capricorn, which Capricorn people like to be very sure-footed. And unfortunately, that's just about the last thing that happens when Saturn is as much in the mix as it is at the moment and is retrograde. Saturn has a lot to do with finding insight into our fears, and it's surprising how much we are driven by our fears in this life, actually. We become more aware of that kind of thing, and we just can't totally trust alignments with Saturn at the moment. The moon is square Saturn right now as well, making things conservative, making things serious. People don't really want to look at the frivolous aspects of things. People want to get things sorted, but it tends to be coming from a place of fear when that happens. So I wouldn't rush for anything to do with that at the moment. And again, you know, this is the moon squaring Saturn, and I'll say it again, Saturn is retrograde. It's not the easiest thing in the world to call at the moment. Pluto is also retrograde at the moment, and Pluto is the ruling planet of Scorpio. So that is going to play into the Scorpio moon, which we're going to have on Sunday, taking us through to the full moon. You know, Scorpios, they do know how to have a good time, but it's another situation where the colours of the world tend to turn black and white. People don't really want to be put off from anything that they think is important, and may believe that those of us who try to kind of calm things down are just getting in the way and causing problems. So do be careful. We will, I'm sure, see some impetuous actions with the Scorpio full moon. It's bound to happen, really. So that full moon coming in at 1:58 a.m. Monday morning. I've already said all that. Gosh, it's really difficult to try and remember what I'm supposed to be doing. Let's go elsewhere and have a look at today's alignments. Now, at 1:29 a.m., quite a while before I got out of bed and did this, would have been last night very much in America, Venus biquintile Saturn. That's quite a positive aspect, but it's also a minor aspect. No great shakes, you might say. But you have the Venus energy, basically, in this quite positive aspect with Saturn. And again, of course, Saturn is retrograde, so who knows what's going to happen. But an interesting time thinking around our fears and seeing the feminine energy side of those things, I would think, be very much in the air today. At 9:36 tonight UK time, so that is not long after, not long into the afternoon. Get your words right, Andy. Not long into the afternoon Pacific, evening time Eastern, and I've lost it on the page now. 9:36 p.m. here in UK, early tomorrow morning New Zealand. Mercury in 10 degrees of Aries is going to trine the North Node. Now keep an eye on the North Node. It's not what everyone shouts about, but it is an important aspect. Depending where it is on your birth chart, actually. Do get a birth chart done if you're interested in this and you haven't yet. Most of the astrology websites do them for free and they're great. And your birth chart will give you a better idea what it means when Mercury trines the North Node. The North Node is about where you're going, the pushing forward, the actual progress of life. It's a great thing to think about. The South Node is where we look back. We don't want to think about that too much. Mercury is not retrograde but is in the post-shadow to retrograde, so we may see communication issues playing into that. I think actually we're more likely to go through things that help us to reach a much fuller understanding of what Mercury's been doing in our lives and actually what that means in terms of the people around us and what we actually think about the day-to-day thoughts that go on in our mind and where we're headed. On Sunday, the Sun in Taurus is going to trine Saturn. Venus in Gemini is going to sesquiquadrate Pluto. And Pluto is, of course, retrograde at the moment. Now, Pluto has a great deal to do with psychic senses. It is the ruling planet of Scorpio, much to do with rebirth as well. So that has a lot to do with the finding things out and almost finding closure on the last part of the journey before moving forward. Pluto retrograde is a weird one. Pluto becomes even more Pluto-esque, Plutonic, I don't know how you say, but much more like Pluto. The psychic senses are very heightened and people are looking around for that rebirth thing because we've all got these ideas, we've all got things we want to do, we've all got people we care about that we want to help move forward with us, and all those things come together in a big melting pot this weekend. It's really quite a weekend in astrology. As I say, we've got the full moon coming up. The energy is intense. So I'm going to call that a day for today, folks. There's not a great deal going on in spaceweather.com at the moment because that mountain has blown up in North Korea and it would appear to have made a chimney effect, which is throwing out radioactivity and other things, which seem to be making it very difficult to call. There's one small sunspot on the face of the sun and that's about it. Okay, so that, in fact, is about it for today's look at the weekend ahead in terms of astrology. I'll be here kind of tomorrow or Sunday with a look at the week ahead. Depends on the internet connection. I'd be on here all the time if I could be, because I do enjoy meeting people. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed. Thanks to everyone who likes. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Maybe leave me a comment and we'll share the journey. Meanwhile, have a brilliant day. Keep it out there. Don't worry about anything, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.